What's up, guys? Welcome back. I spoke about something in my last video. I was going to capitalize on that today. I want to talk about perception and judgment. You know, we live in a world today that everybody seems to be above some sort of reproof, even if it's just a suggestion on the way things may look. And I find that odd because we live in such a intelligent world today that's full of information. You know, we've been taught that our witness can cause others to stumble. So when I think about our witness, it's the way that we look, the way that people see us, the way we speak, all of these things. And it's also how we are perceived. So I like to think that if how we are being perceived is going to hurt someone else, it's going to cause them to stumble, that's really something that we need to be thinking about. But so many times, people live their life in a manner where they're self-righteous or prideful, and they're above reproof. And there's nothing that you could say or do that they're going to listen to. Like I said, today I want to take a look at two words: perception and judgment. Now, a lot of times these two words are confused, and one is taken for the other. Judgment. A misfortune or calamity views as divine punishment, to form an opinion or conclusion about. First off, let me say this. None of us are divine. There's only one, and that's Jesus Christ. When I think about that, we are putting way too much emphasis on each other to think that we could judge another person. If I think that that person could put me in a situation that's either going to do me to hell or allow me into heaven, we're putting way too much emphasis on their thought. And that's not a judgment if they come to us and tell us something. It's just simply reproof. And none of us are above reproof according to the Bible. And if someone is jumping instantly to being judged by something that we say, it's going to rub them the wrong way, right? It's one of two things. Either A, they're prideful, they're self-righteous, they're above reproof. They think that they live their life above all of us. The second is pulling on some strings. It's touching on a conviction that they already know that they need to be working on. It's just kind of putting it there that, hey, this is definitely something that I know I need to work on because other people are starting to see it. And it hurts, and it causes them to lash out just a little bit. And I use these two examples because I have been both. I've been both that prideful person who is self-righteous, who feels like I'm living a life that is above everybody else. I'm above reproof. And I've also been that person when somebody comes to me, I'm just like, oh man, you know what? And it eats me up inside. I want to take a look at a judge for a moment. See, a judge brings the final say in a trial. At the end of everything, he dooms that person to either walk or be sentenced, to either pay or not to pay. The judge has that final say. So let's look at our life as a trial. Yeah, everybody else is just that, a witness. They can come to us and they can say things. But at the end of our trial, at the end of our life, the only one that can doom us to hell or allow us into heaven is God. So if we feel we're putting way too much importance on what people are saying to think that it's going to doom us somewhere or it's going to allow us somewhere. But in the same respect, we're not putting enough importance on what people are saying for the perception. That's what I'm getting to, the perception of the life that we live. Perception. The state of being or process of becoming aware of something through senses. What we see, what we hear, what we feel. A way of regarding, understanding, or interpreting something. A mental impression. So depending on what we see, how a person acts, what they say, what they do, how they live their life, that's our perception of that person. We also need to know first that an impression can be either negative or positive, whether right or wrong. And I'm going to give you an example of that. Several months back, I was at a theater, and I was standing outside that theater with the person who was running security, a friend of mine. We were talking, and I have this habit of constantly, if my friend's standing right in front of me, I'll make eye contact with him for a minute, and then I'll look over here, and then I may look over here, then I may look over here. But what I didn't know was me simply checking my surroundings is what it looked like to the person behind me. There was somebody on the inside who had looked out. It was a close friend of ours, had looked out and saw me glancing down the street. Now, down the street, there was a bar and there were scantily dressed women. So the perception of that was, here I am outside without my wife, looking down the street at these horribly dressed women. Now, whether that assessment was true or not, to that person, it's what it looked like. So that in itself is hurting my witness for Christ. Now, anybody with a security or a military background knows that, you check your surroundings constantly. But that let me know that me checking my surroundings can be easily took for something else. And I really need to take the time to self-evaluate and wonder about what it looks like to other people. So that's something I needed to put in check. So whether a person's perception is true or not, it's important. It's very important. Also, it's how we respond to a person's perception that's going to give a lot of meaning to our character. For example, if I go to someone and I say, hey, doing what you're doing, this is what it looks like. Now, if they come back at me with, you're right, I apologize, I'm going to try to fix this in the future, or, this is something that I'm struggling with, yada, yada, whatever it may be. Or they can come at me with, what, you can't judge me for what I do. It's not for you to wonder about what I'm doing. It's not for you to make a judgment on me. I don't care what anybody else thinks except for God. So it doesn't matter. That lets me know real quick that that person's character isn't in the right place. They're not in the right place with their mindset and their thoughts, and they just need help. And the best thing we can do at that moment is just pray for them, because they're not going to listen to anything that anybody has to say. It kind of goes back to what I was talking about with my last video. The only people they're going to listen to are going to be those with a title, those who have pastor in front of their name, or those who say they're a minister, or the great, motivational speakers that they don't listen to anybody else. They look at everybody else as small people. And then in the kingdom of Christ, we're not small people in any means. We all have an emphasis on each other's lives. We are to reproof. We are to build up. We are to encourage. We are to love. But I'm getting on a different topic. The perception is important, whether it's right or it's wrong. We need to fix it to make sure that we're not being a stumbling block or hurting our witness for Christ. So we have to be really smart. We have to be careful. The enemy is out to destroy. And if his destruction can be done by hurting our witness through other people's perception, that's what he's going to do. So we need to be very, very careful, very vigilant in the way we carry our lives, the way we speak to people, the way we act, the things that we look at, just the simple way that we carry ourselves. We need to be very careful. Perception and judgment. All right, guys, I thank y'all for joining me today. It may seem a little sporadic. I know when the devil's trying to keep me from saying something, he makes me stumble on my words. He makes me forget what I'm supposed to be saying. So when these videos come across as short and choppy, and it's because the devil's trying to get in my head and go, shut up. Not today, devil. I'm going to get it out there to you guys. I'm going to get it out there to whoever it needs to get to. because whether it's short and choppy or not, it's out there. So I thank y'all for joining me. I thank y'all for being patient with me. And until next time, repent, transform, praise and worship. God bless y'all.